and welcome to October's Tabletop Conversation on the Long Spoon. We made it again.
Yes, we made it through.
We're here, and so are you. Thank you.
And I'm Suzanne.
And I'm Robert.
With Clarity. And the rest of the family's here.
Sandra, and I'm Suzanne. Christina.
And I'm going to read quickly a synopsis, kind of a summary of thought that goes with the conversation. Let's read the conversation, the alchemical inner workings. We started doing that this month. It's been really fun. These collages are really, it's the alchemical inner workings in life and in our consciousness and in thought. And anyway, the sacred never fails. You believe in it. You'll get through. Play your way through. Your inner workings will succeed. And see, those are like, it's all of our life is involved in our alchemy. And so when we need to solve something or work through to the next position, everything we do is part of the inner workings of doing that. And so we've done all these gatherings of alchemy in a position and the inner workings that help resolve that. Yeah, I have to. So anyway, this one, summarizing some of the thoughts within this, is in a world filled with uncertainty and challenges, one thing remains constant: the sacred. It is the unwavering source of strength and guidance that resides deep within us all. With an unshakable belief in its power, we can face any obstacle that comes our way. Trusting in the sacred gives us the confidence to play our way through life, knowing that our inner workings will align with a greater purpose and lead us to success. In moments of doubt or hardship, remember to tap into this divine force within, for it never fails, and it will see us through even the darkest of times. Embrace the sacredness that resides within you and let it light your path towards a brighter tomorrow.
That is so beautiful.
That's very comforting.
Yes, it is.
I love that.
So we want to have a conversation around this. So what you all have thoughts on?
Oh, I know for me the inner workings.
You have to take loud enough, Sandra. You have to talk loud enough that they can hear it. Okay.
The inner workings has brought a new perspective to me of it's like the soul breaking things down for you.
Ooh, I love
even
that.
Into finer, it's becoming more personal, more inner, more reliable, and it's a great trust, like you have trusting in the sacred. But I have found, and we've only had it for a week or two, but it's been a wonderful exchange between the soul and thinking of alchemy as not just a science or thing that's out there that has a formula. It's all inside. It's all working from the inside, and that's a whole. Yeah, we've talked about it, but
Where'd it go?
since you've done this, it's been remarkable for me, and I'm glad we're focusing on it.
Well, as you said that, it's helping me. It's like the collages, they choose. I mean, I've listened, the pictures choose their place and the dynamics of the pattern they're in, the template. But they're little pieces of the everyday life.
Right,
and it starts showing you the most insignificant of things are part of the very inner workings that we utilize for our consciousness to expand, or to, like Sandra said, break it down, like the soda, break it down.
It makes you feel very important. You know that you're finding inside you have answers.
Well, you'll also start seeing
them.
Like small things in the house.
Yes.
And you'll start recognizing them, that even a doll or a toy could be part of your inner workings.
Yeah.
So you're never, when you carry that consciousness, you're never separate from your soul. You're always inside the inner workings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that in just moving some things in the room, in my room, just shifting them a little bit or putting them in different places. It's like it's brought new thoughts, new,
Ooh.
especially books. I mean, I've had stacks of books, and they just kind of became a stack of books with something on top of them. And then this week, I started moving them around, and I thought, oh my gosh, I really had an interest in that. Why did I have that book?
Oh.
Why did I have that series of books? I haven't read them, but why were they there? There's something in me working that wants to work with that. Or, as the new collages come on, or as we do the weekly class, and it's nice to know that all that stuff is inside me and it's ready to come out even more.
And it's always doing it.
It's always been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or wouldn't have put
There's
them all
more
together.
weight to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's just,
love it.
Oh, we're getting so dark.
been
We
wonderful.
can't
I
see
love
each
what
other.
you were talking about, the inner workings, because I really have been experiencing that too, and just recognizing that alchemy, starting to understand it and recognize it inside of yourself. It's so rotational, and it's so I think there was a book last week that we talked about the seasonality of ourselves, and that nothing stays the same. In alchemy, you always can trust and know that it will eventually roll over into another phase.
Oh,
It
that's
has
so-
to. I mean, that's the motion that
Yeah.
we've talked about, and just getting in touch with that and getting comfortable with it. And I love what you said, Sandra, that there's like a confidence that's coming. We've been working with that confidence program, but for me, it's a confidence in being able to trust that sacred within myself, that divine intelligence, that I can access it at any time that I need it, anytime that I want to, and that I also have the ability to become one with it, so that I'm not having moments of hesitation or separateness from that information. And to me, alchemy holds so much information, and that the things that we're doing each day, I loved what you said about the everyday, and that all the things that suddenly appear to us that give us information about our inner workings. And it becomes this full circle thing, that as you're paying attention to it, it gives you more information, and then you in turn integrate that. And
right.
and the play, Christina and I have been talking a lot about that too, because sometimes I know for myself, and I think a lot of people erroneously think that the sacred and the spiritual is a very serious thing, and that you have to be very serious about it and very intense, and it's easy to fall into that. And the more I've been able, Christina's helped me so much with that, because you are so playful, and you embrace embody that very easily,
and laughing at ourselves.
Yeah,
and not taking ourselves
it creates
too
a
seriously.
levity. It changes the vibration. It changes your frequency. And to me, when I feel lighter, when I'm laughing, when I'm smiling, when I'm being playful and singing and dancing or doing whatever, all of a sudden I feel my vibration changing, and my ability to be in touch with my sacred and my divine to be increasing.
It's like play levitates to reach the sacred.
Exactly. Yeah.
Parts.
So that's my
I love
thoughts
that.
at the moment. But
I love
yeah,
that.
that's been up for me.
Well, also it mentioned belief, and I noticed in the thing here, or something we've listened to, putting belief with confidence.
Yes.
It put them together,
Yes.
and I thought that was interesting, because we've been talking about belief at different times, to believe in each other. It's like, as a navigator, I will, work with certain things that we don't understand, and I don't even understand it, but it always comes out just right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it does.
Because I've learned to listen and trust that,
Right.
and I believe in it. And so it's like taking my belief in that, and when I get ready to ask a question, it's like, even though I don't understand the answer, it's believing enough in it that I will go on. And it's
Right.
like me asking to believe in me, even though we don't understand and I don't understand, that I do get it right afterwards. But it's like always when we're sitting in that non-understanding,
Right.
it's like a dangerous place, and you need to be able to sit in that belief, and if others sit in that belief with you. And that was the conversation this week.
Yeah, it really
So
was.
that whole thing is they're together in this time that we are in this month right now.
Yeah.
Is our belief system is associated with our confidence.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
That's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That's a
Oh, go ahead. I just thought of that.
No, that's
Mhm.
my thoughts
Could you
right
talk
now.
about the inner workings that you've been doing, the alchemical inner workings that you've been posting?
Oh,
Because that
okay.
really connects, I feel like. I love.
I'll do the best I can.
Well, I mean, however you
It
want
has
to,
been-
but I love how it's connected.
It's been a
with it.
mystery to me.
Mm.
It's like when I first started doing the collages 2 years ago. I did it for the different books, meditation and everything, and I I use intuition all the time, so I had to go back to an old process. So when I started putting the pictures in, I did it intuitively. I just heard what pictures, I put them in, but not necessarily were they all in the same family or anything. And at first I didn't even write around them, but when I got finished, they felt right. And I didn't know they were the inner workings, but I knew that there was a working going on, and they felt
somebody's
good.
working.
And then also the language, I got so that once I got comfortable with that, the pictures picking themselves basically, then I stopped afterwards and I let them talk.
I love
And the
that.
words you see around there are not anything I've thought up from the thing.
No, you
It's them and their conversation and their relationship of that alchemy. And I never thought of
wow.
that parts of the world
That's
all
awesome.
talking.
That is so
Mhm.
cool.
Mhm.
And so I did it that way,
Sensitive.
and then nobody really was thrilled, weren't thrilled, you all were, but I mean outside of us, like I was thrilled about it. But there was so much more to learn. And one person had said, well, it's probably it's it's talking to you and not to other people. And I knew that wasn't the right space. I knew that a lot of the work is I have a larger picture, and so I work with things that work with that larger picture. But it bothered me, but I kept on doing it. And then I kept thinking, well, what am I going to call it? And all at once this month, I got the name. First, I got the name Inner Workings, which made me understand it better. And then I realized that it was alchemy. It's the alchemical inner workings, which is what I work with so much. And in that, all the questions went away. It understood, not only did I understood it, but it understood itself.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's a good way to
So
put
it
it. Yeah.
That I never
Like we
thought
recognize
of
it.
a body of work, art, or anything, that it is what it is. It not necessarily understands itself, but it is what it is. It's like
Everything's
us.
like in relationship, like everything's in conversation with it.
Yes.
Each other. I mean, so like when you see one part of the collage, it's like it's talking to the other part and to the other part, and like there is so much conversation going on in there, and it's so intentional and so fabulous.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear you share about
Well, they
more about
find
that.
that they're
because it's so
about
cool.
a certain idea. And once they want to be in there, it's like a space given to that idea. And I don't even know what the idea is. which ones are in there. And it's very picky. I mean, I have to go through albums after albums. Now I've gotten smart. I've put a lot of albums together, so it's a lot of choices. and just like you say, there's a conversation. But I never thought of a body of work
Could do
in the process of learning who it is. We are, as beings, conscious beings, are in the process of learning who we are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or reclaiming who we are.
Yes.
Being who we are. And it's the biggest fear in the world, I think, is actually, for people, is who they are.
Yeah.
To be who they are, and who are they?
Yeah.
And who they are. And so I worked with that whole thing of the biggest fear. It was like different things I was working with that, weren't all the same, like in there. Maybe you have your feet are sore, or maybe your back hurts, or maybe you got a pimple on your head, or maybe you're trying to do something you can't figure it out. Well, you don't even realize that it could all be the same thing, that they're all connected. And so what I started realizing, that in this, that when I would do a vision board and put up maybe a problem, and then I found so many things started throwing themselves in the thing.
On that board.
And I thought, well, they don't even connect, but they did. And one day, all these were seemingly unconnected, like these inner workings, but they were all the same thing. And so I asked, I said, they all have something in common. What is it? And immediately I heard fear of who you are. All of them were related to being afraid, me being afraid of who I am. And it really surprised me, but I knew it immediately. And so your toe can hurt. It's because you're afraid of who you are. And then all at once, something goes wrong with something else because you're afraid of who you are. And they all interrelate, just like these collages.
God, that's so true.
And so then, if you pull together like a problem or something, you will find all these different pictures that are associated with it, but you didn't know it. But the concept of this in visual, I didn't understand completely. But it didn't even understand completely. It's like the collage has been trying to find out what is it altogether. What few words would be the same for every single one of them? Like you're afraid of who you are, and everything that's going up, that's happening right now is part of that. It's the same thing in the collage. It's like they're all there, but what is the same thing? What are they all about? And I didn't get it until this month, and I've been doing it for a long time. I've been putting them on anyway. And, not very many people, seem to notice them. But all at once, it's like they found who they were. And I found what they were. And I had asked before, and I'd get all these different things, but they weren't quite it. And then all at once I got inner workings. And I felt that thing all the way through me. And it was so right. It's just like, finally you found it. It's just like, and then after a few days I put on inner workings, and then I got the piece, alchemical inner workings. And so they know who they are, they know what they are. They're alchemy in action together. And they're like they're in action for a certain thing, why they're all related. And that's why they're so fun now. They're just absolutely so fun. And as you use it, like Suzanne said, and Sandra said, you go through the house, you start noticing things because you become a gatherer of your own inner workings. And you start seeing it not only in your head or in your mind, but you start seeing it in your life, in your world. And then all at once, when you start connecting it, things kind of all line up. And they know their purpose. How does that sound? Did I do it?
It's amazing.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's really exciting for everyone to hear about that because
Thank
it
you.
connects everything together. And like that one part, play your way through your inner workings will succeed. And this past week, in the book that you wrote, that you talked about how play will unlock the door.
Oh, that's right.
And it's like it unlocks the door to the inner workings, like
Oh,
and
God.
to all of that. So I love how connectio this language is, and
I love that. I love how you put it together. You do that all the time.
thanks.
It's
Well,
really
The
good.
language is very visual, so
Yeah.
it speaks. I love that.
Oh, because you're
Speaks to my
creative.
heart. And
Yeah.
I love this last line too. Embrace the sacredness that resides within you, and let it light your path towards a brighter tomorrow. I feel like I could like tattoo that to my arm or something.
know.
You know, it's like
Your work and the concepts that you bring through and the work that you embody, it always carries so much hope in it and so
It
much
does.
promise. And I think that it always feeds me so much that way. And I also love.
it's like a signature
It
of
is.
this work.
It
'Cause
is.
It doesn't
And-
leave you hanging like
Yeah.
it.
And I think one of the greatest
Makes you
gifts
feel
that you've
comforted.
shared and modeled for me and my life is how to trust, how to operate in that belief system and being willing to trust that before you have understanding.
Oh,
And I think that is so rare in this world, but it is so powerful and so much comes from it. And I've seen that and longed for it, and I just, that's something that I am working to embody too, and I'm just so appreciated in you, and I think this work comes from it, and that's why it is so ahead of its time, because it's willing to be what it is before even there's all the understanding there. And so, I mean, in the 30 plus years we've all been together, I mean, there is so much that's come through where there wasn't the understanding at that moment.
in fact, there was stupidity.
And all the sounds that come with that, all the judgment and all
judgment
the
of
everything,
others.
and then just years later reading the same things again that you felt like made no sense, or that you didn't understand, make complete sense because of how each one of us evolves and changes in our inner workings, and we shift to next levels, and we bring in more ability to take in understanding of something.
Well, you know
And it's
that
just amazing.
there's a piece of paper that hangs in our studio,
Mm-hmm.
and we found it there's a quote from in a movie that we loved, but it says, "The closer you get to stupidity, the closer you get to genius."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And-
really true.
And the only thing that has kept is helping that all makes sense is that you are less afraid to be stupid.
yeah.
And
That's
and
part of the play, maybe,
Uh-huh.
too.
well, how do kids ever
Yeah, they
sit
don't
around
worry
and talk
about
to
the
spoons and all
yeah.
that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
But it is that is the genius. And for me, it was like I was writing stuff that I didn't understand, but I felt it. I felt that, and even people said, people said to me, I can understand anything you say, but I can understand everything Robert does, but not you. And it was a comparative moment that was difficult, and I realized that this person, now I realize that what they were afraid of is stupidity.
Yeah.
And the more afraid of your stupidity, you're never going to get genius. So things that really change your life are like you have a door closed to them, because the most stupid of ideas have been the most ingenious things that have changed our world. And I think it takes a long time to get used to being stupid. I mean, it wasn't easy for
that's
me.
the only way you can take in anything new. You have to be willing to be in a space of not knowing, and a
It's
space
like being
of
in
being
a new
stupid.
country.
Yeah.
Like if you're in Norway and you're like, I don't understand what you're saying because you're speaking Norwegian to me. And it's like,
And being
that's
mad about
okay.
it. Yeah, it's
You,
like
you can be upset, but I mean, you're in a country that speaks a different language, so you have to take the time to learn the language. If you want to connect with in that way, you know, it's like we do that
It's a language
third
to reach
dimensionally,
for.
but this is
Mhm.
you know
right.
yeah it
the
is
language
a
to reach
language
for. That's
for.
right.
I love that
You have to
Norwegian.
you just submerge yourself, you know,
Yeah.
and you'll get to know it.
Mm-hmm. It's a good.
Well, you know that because you've traveled a lot and you've had to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is scary when you don't
I mean,
speak that language and you're you know
you're there all you're by
Fumbling your
It's
way
yourself.
not
through.
comfortable
But
to
you
feel
know what?
stupid.
But you
you
know
know,
what?
we're
Most-
not.
Right, yeah.
most
We're
people
not encouraged to feel stupid.
But most people, if you've traveled around, like all that matters is that you're trying.
Yeah.
And that's what I
Isn't
love
that-
about that. Like countries or people will be more receptive to you if you're trying to speak the language. And so it's just like this with even with this work, and it's like you just keep trying, you keep reaching for it, and you keep going for it, and it comes.
It does. And the people that are willing to do that are more appealing. Because I know then there's a whole character within them that's not afraid of who they are.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Because this language speaks to the heart and to the soul,
Oh.
and it's very. There's a lot of sensory. It speaks to all the senses, and it speaks to the imagination and the imagery and the visual and the creativity. That all of that. There's so much embedded into, and the sacredness and depth, and you could be in a 3-foot pool, and then all of a sudden you're in a 50-foot pool in the same sentence, and then you could be laughing, and then you could be taking in something so profound, and then giggling at the all in one paragraph. It's
I
pretty,
love that
pretty cool.
description. Thank you. That was wonderful.
So
It's so true.
it's true travel. I mean, it really is true travel.
Yes, you don't travel across the world without hitting some water.
You need you need all-terrain boots and all-terrain tires and
Vehicles.
everything.
Yes, right. And you need repelling and all that kind of stuff. That is.
Galoshes. Get
The
your
lodge.
hat and your boots.
That's right. Your hat
Right?
and your boots. It's very. That's perfect. It's
It's a
really good.
4x4 all-terrain
Yes,
language.
very much.
Mm,
Very much.
love that.
But I never thought of a body of work like that was working towards what it was and working towards its name, and then all at once, without even a word, it knows itself, and you ask it, and then you've asked it before, but then it knows it, and then you know, oh my God, that
That's
is it.
beautiful.
Like sentient.
It is like it's
Mhm.
sentient. Well, I knew this work was alive. That just really, that's really true.
Mm.
I never thought of this being the collages and working, my patience with them and keep on doing them even with discouragement and people not wanting to take the time to look at them or offended because they think I'm trying to tell them what to do and all that. And it all made me feel bad. But I just kept on doing them like some bullheaded girl. I just, I don't, and it's not even I thought about it. I just proceeded.
Yeah.
I would just the next day go to more. And I'd be inspired. And there was like, you
And it
know.
was playful for you too.
It was playful for me. But with all that discouragement, I didn't know why I would go back and do it,
Yeah.
Again.
It took a lot of perseverance.
Yeah, well, it's taken that for all of us. You all you've had to change and get more comfortable with what you don't understand. And even when you get done, you're not even guaranteed that you understand it.
Right.
And so we live on the edge, on the curve of ignorance.
Yes, we do. We ride on that curve.
That sounds like a bumper sticker.
I
for
know.
sure.
Well, there was a great part in this last week's class book where you talked about when you're interested in seeking to expand your consciousness, move to levels that you don't know yet, it's a rigorous life.
Oh.
and it's not for the faint of heart, but I just loved it. There's a rigor in it that's required to want to know more than what you currently know.
Yeah.
And
Maybe that's
and
why
to
they
be-
call it like riggins, like on a boat.
maybe so.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Because it's a rigorous
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I
you
love
know.
that.
But I think, and part of that quote too, or that part of the book was honor yourself for being willing to even want to take on that challenge, and the rigor of it and what it entails and the ups and downs and the challenges each day and, the discouragement and then the elation of it and then the, just all the rotations of it, all the alchemical phases that's involved. It's something that it requires a lot of stick-to-itiveness. A lot of
It does.
perseverance. Stickability, yes, that's the word. And the perseverance and the commitment to yourself. Really, it's to nobody else but yourself, because you just have to want it that much that you want to constantly be in a state of growth. And
As you help yourself, you help others, and you help the world
it's true.
and the universe.
And that really is helpful to know that whole. That
And it
it's
always
very
starts with you.
relationship-y. It has to start with you,
Quantum
and
physics.
and that was such a hard thing to overcome because so much of our societal training and programming is that means you're selfish and that you should always put others first, but you don't realize that in your own growth and taking care of yourself, that you then are taking care of others, and you're not capable of truly selflessly giving until you've filled your own cup, and to be able to have something to give that doesn't have strings attached or resentment attached or expectations attached or any of that. And that took a long time to understand that one.
It did. For all of
It
us
was
and
a
whatever
big
things
piece.
we
It
do.
was a
was
big
really
piece.
big.
Yeah, we moved through a lot with that.
I'm glad you said the quantum physics of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think about how you guys wrote the quantum physics of the self, 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and here we are with quantum physics, and
And
it's
it's
like
now
they're right
catching
here.
up. The science of it is now catching up
Uh-huh.
with what you had written about it.
Oh,
And
that's
felt on a
cool.
feeling level.
really, really.
Oh.
I think that's a good tabletop
Oh, well,
conversation
is everybody done?
for October.
So,
Sandra,
I don't know.
do you want
Got
to say
more?
anything else?
I think everybody expounded on what I was feeling. I just appreciate
Yeah.
that because it's.
Yeah, you got us all started.
yeah, you
Mhm.
did. It was a good jump start. It was
start.
awesome.
I love this format here too, because it's like the alchemy of inner workings collage opens up the conversation, and then the expanded collaborative writing. It's like here it really opens a lot for
And
these discussions, and it's fabulous.
And the format of the long spoon now
Yeah.
has adapted to that format as well, and I think it's a great way to enter, and it's a beautiful next alchemical phase of the long spoon of how it's unfolding itself for people.
Yeah, it is changing.
Yeah, and that means that the long spoon is changing, of how people are fed, how they receive information.
Oh, that's so good.
And the way in which it's being given. And so this work, because it's always evolving and always changing, the fact that the long spoon is like a curation of the work as it's changing.
Oh,
You're bringing it forward and curating it for people to see all in one place and not have to try to gather it
Yeah.
all up for themselves, but in one place they can find how the inner workings are evolving and how it's, I think it's interesting to look back at all the different long spoons, because this is our the beginning of our second annual long spoon. I mean, this
that's right.
is
That's right.
we're exactly have done 1 year of the long
Wow.
spoons. this month.
Happy
yeah.
anniversary.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's really cool to see where it started, how it's evolved, how it's changed and adapted to where the alchemy moved each month.
Uh-huh.
And you all deeply listen to how
Yeah.
to what is needed and how it moves, and it's like you don't just
Well,
force
it's
that.
about-
You listen.
That's right.
Carefully.
It focuses on ease.
Yeah.
And all year we've been moving levels of ease. How do you get ease in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And when we started out with the long spoon, it took us 7 days to
Mm-hmm.
put that together.
Yeah.
It was all day. It wasn't like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was overwhelming. And it was like, into the next month it came, it's like, you're like, oh God, we
Feels
got to
like
start
you
the
just
long
took a whole
spoon
month
again.
to have
And
to
then-
do
no,
that.
now we're just, and it was like, it wasn't easy. And then as we kept, it kept coming,
Mm-hmm.
what it was, just like the alchemical inner workings with a long spoon has been evolving and becoming more and more of what it is meant to do, and I feel that we're getting better at it.
Yeah.
And we through the whole month we work with a lot of things that build and come part of the long spoon, instead of just all at once doing the long spoon, 6 days before we send it out. And it's becoming easier.
Yeah.
But the ease, it's not like it's less in it. It's just becoming easier, more defined, and it's staying authentic all the time.
Yeah.
And I just am amazed, because this long spoon took us 1 full day instead of 6.
But
But-
still a full day.
It's a full day, but also all the other days of the month we're building it. So 1 full day gathers everything, but we had done a lot of the things. So it knows itself.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it
that's
knows
so
itself
cool,
all
yeah.
month, and so it's building itself. But when it first started, it didn't know itself. It knew what it wanted to do,
Yeah.
and so we had outlined the purposes of each month, what we were going to do. And this month, no, we're in the new time, and it knows itself, and so there's no need to have a
Themes
projected
and- yeah.
outline of this is going to be working with this, but it did in the beginning, like everything does.
Yeah.
And so it's become more sentient. It knows itself better. We know ourselves better because of it, all of
Right.
us. And the people who come to it know themselves better.
Mhm.
So we know ourselves enough now that that we can actually just fall into it.
And you both have been, we all have, but I mean, you both have been deeply inside of all of this too. So it's not just words being talked about,
Oh, no.
or like it's outside.
We live
of
inside
you.
it.
I mean, and that's a real difference.
And doing it has shown us more of how we live inside it.
Yeah.
Our everydayness lives inside of it, and it all counts. Instead of like people that go to church on Sunday and then otherwise they're terrible, it's like they should be going to church every moment in time. And so the every moment in time, the authenticness of yourself, and every moment in time is starting to become sentient. And so as we've built the long spoon, and we do the books, the classes every week, we keep making ourselves, our life, and the everydayness of it in every moment in time, it's becoming alive. You have an idea, but lots of times it's like something in utero. And the long spoon is like been in utero. And that it's got, as it developed each part, it was just wonderful. All the organs, the heart and the soul and the legs, and all, it's all developed in who itself, so that it can be an embodiment.
Yeah.
And if it can be an embodiment, then those that go to it then have the wonderfulness of being able to embody it. But until it can be an embodiment, that idea is not germinated in it, and it's not there. And I'm just, thank you for that question. I'm just like, I didn't know that. It's very exciting, but I didn't know it. Is that exciting to you all?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Our
Yeah.
whole, well, I think you've helped all of us see the sentience inside of, you know, all, how a whole home can be alive and sentient, and all the dolls and all of the I mean,
The dishes.
yeah, the
Yeah.
puppets, the trees, everything. Everything has a purpose in our home. It's not a bunch of stuff. It's intentionally purposed to
It's
be
like a
here.
Disney
It has
movie.
a presence here.
Yeah.
It does.
And I think
you
that
expect everything.
I mean,
to
this is like the house of play
yeah.
Mhm.
in so many ways, and I think you've shown all of us a whole new perspective with that. And so, why wouldn't this be sentient too?
Yes. Well, you know,
Makes
those,
sense.
there are those like us and other those like us, like, um, uh, uh, oh God, I'm going to go blank now. Um, the psychologist, psychiatrist.
Young.
Young.
Carl
Young.
Yeah, Carl Jung, who, when he had his special place, his castle that he felt that he would go to, so that nobody would bother him. He put a flag up, and they all knew nobody could bother him. But there in that place, all the pots and pans, he experienced them moving around and making noises, and even levitating. So, and you know, that might be different and strange to the world, but all the work he's done is very real, and it is
It's
of great
life-changing.
authenticity. And he still had the pots and pans.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
he started to realize the sentience
Mhm.
in not only people and their personalities and who they are, but in everything else in their lives.
It kept him young.
Yes,
couldn't help
young.
I
Oh,
know,
that was
I
so
couldn't
good.
help
Well, you know, he did live pretty long,
Mhm.
Sounds like it.
young.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
you're
has
welcome.
been very rich.
Do we have a minute that we could reread that piece?
What do you mean? Which part?
This part. In a world that's filled.
You want me to read it again?
Would you like?
Uh huh.
I think it's, after all we've talked about, it's got even more.
Okay, that sounds good. In a world filled with uncertainty and challenges, one thing remains constant: the sacred. It is the unwavering source of strength and guidance that resides deep within us all. With an unshakable belief in its power, we can face any obstacles that comes our way. Trusting in the sacred gives us the confidence to play our way through life, knowing that our inner workings will align with a greater purpose and lead us to success. In moments of doubt or hardship, remember to tap into this divine force within, for it never fails and will see us through even the darkest of times. Embrace the sacredness that resides within you and let it light your path towards a brighter tomorrow.
That is
Thank you.
exquisite.
Mhm.
You're so right. That was
Yeah.
wonderful to read
Oh,
again.
just-
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so good.
And having conversation about that help flesh it out even more.
oh, yeah.
And I love that about us because that we do a lot of that kind of conversation in our the relationshipally as the family and team that we are, and sacred community working together. That's what we do. Is we take a lot of these ideas and things that we read, and then we start having conversation around it, start living with it, and the decisions that we're making every day, from the food that we're eating and buying it to, you know, just decisions around the house and in the garden. And so we start fleshing out. That is how these collages, I believe, start becoming sentient, because of how we are fleshing it out. And
Yeah, the pictures of us.
yeah, they are.
I
So we
love
see
that.
ourselves differently. We see ourselves from a distance of our power and our beauty and what we are. And sometimes when we're so up close to ourselves and to our lives, it's hard to see and take it all in. And we get some distance and perspective from these beautiful pictures that you've done, and it's not only archival, but it is just so revealing and empowering.
One of the
Thank you.
pictures
Thank you.
you have, one of the collages has my hands in the purple
Yes.
gloves holding the shovel,
Mm-hmm.
and
Looks like a heart.
it
Yes, that's
does.
what
And then in one of the collages it actually says the heart of gold and everything, but it was like, I never thought that the hands would ever make like a heart looking thing while you're trying to shovel something
my
in or
God.
whatever, and it was like, even that, I never would have seen that in that way.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
have
because
you
you couldn't
either.
see
Had
yourself
you not
doing
captured
it.
it in that way and then brought that forward, it was just, it's really cool.
It
It's
is.
very
It was
cool.
a whole new perspective, and that's what I love. I feel like this work and this long spoon, it's like it just offers so many new perspectives. And
I
it's
love
just
that.
so refreshing because it's so real.
Mm-hmm.
That's what. Well, I also want to, before we close, I want to mention that Suzanne and Christina, I guess you're all going to do that.
Yeah.
They have started having, well, Robert and I, often we have tabletop conversations just for our own development. And Suzanne and Christina started doing this, and they've loved it. And I think they're going to post
Yeah.
their tabletop where they post their thing that's on this long spoon. So be sure and go there and listen. I think you'll love it. And then Sandra is also posting, what do you call that? Digging?
A stitch in.
A stitch in time,
Stitch in Time. Oh, I think digging.
like a blog.
Stitch in Time. And she does beautiful pieces on the garden and on all creative things. But they're the embodiment that she's experiencing this year of working with Gaia and with cloth and fiber.
Work.
So please go to that space and just kind of dig in.
They're wonderful blogs.
Yeah. Well, I guess,
I think that's it.
is that it
for the
Yeah.
for all of us?
October
Okay.
Feels good.
The
Thank you all so
October
much.
tabletop conversation.
Enjoy the
Thank you
month,
for listening.
and we'll see you next month.
Yes. Oh, we're like talking to there. That's right.